Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So we're back, Pops and I, in Leeds Wildlife Hides. And it is Leeds Wildlife Hides because it's written above the door. Now, we've not been to Leeds Wildlife Hides for probably about 2 years, I think it's been, since we've been last here. Oh, bullfinch, I'm having that. Oh, look at that. We were rudely interrupted by
just about to say that.
I nearly said by a Red Bull then, by a bullfinch.
Yeah, male and female.
Male and female. So we are back in Leeds Wildlife Hides. And as I was saying, just before we were rudely interrupted by the bullfinch.
Back again.
It is back again.
Yeah.
It's been about 2 years since we've last been here.
Except for me.
Except for you, you came just before Christmas.
I did,
didn't you,
yeah.
Pops?
Yeah. I did.
And this was actually the very first commercial hide that we've ever been in, and it was the very first commercial hide that we ever brought to the YouTube channel. And it very much kind of, I would say in many ways, set the standard, didn't it? This was kind of what we were judging every hide off, because this was the first one that we'd been in. Now, what brought us to this hide originally was sparrowhawks, and Ian had been getting regular sightings of sparrowhawks coming into the hide, and that was what drew us to the hide in the first place, wasn't it, Pops?
It certainly was, yeah.
And then we've done lots of other hides in between, and Pops came back to this hide just before Christmas, and Ian said it's about time that he got us both back so we could do another video for the hide and we could see what's going on here. So do you want to tell people about your experience when you came just before Christmas?
Just before Christmas, yeah. Yeah, it was an awesome day. I was lucky to have Ian as company as well all day, which was good. But this male sparrowhawk came in a number of times, probably about 4 times.
Yeah,
came in, and then right towards the end, the most exciting bit, and unfortunately it happened so quick I didn't get any photographs. The female came in, and she came in from basically the woods at the bottom of the garden here.
Yeah.
And there was a collared dove right in front of the hide here. She swooped down, picked up the collared dove, flew over the top of us and landed on top of the hide that we're in. And of course we could hear her moving around up there. Daren't move outside.
I bet.
But the funny thing was, in a way, when she flew over us, it looked as if it was snowing. There was that many white feathers flying all over the place. But like I say, it happened so quick.
Yeah.
But I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it with my own eyes, and it was just an awesome sight. Shame for the
dove, yeah.
the dove, but to see a predator, the way it struck, and went right for it.
And raptors have got to eat as well, though, haven't they? You know,
Oh, they have, yeah. That's nature.
It is. It's circle of life.
Yeah.
Circle.
Don't start singing.
The circle, the circle of life.
There you go. You see, it's not just me that sings.
Trouble is, Pumbaa's going to start Akuma Matata in a minute.
That's going to come later.
When he was a young warthog. I tell you what, it's surprising we get anything at these hides, the amount we laugh at. So hopefully today we're going to get the sparrowhawks coming in. There is a whole plethora of woodland birds coming in already. We've got chaffinches, goldfinches, bullfinches, starlings, blackbirds, robins, long-tailed tits, great tits, blue tits, and we've been in the hide for 5 minutes. So I am certain we're going to get some fantastic opportunities for photographs. Fingers crossed the sparrowhawk comes in. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, that's wildlife photography. That's, you know, we've come to expect that in hides. You can't guarantee anything, and when those things come in, they make the moments all that more special. So, if you want to have another look at what Leeds Wildlife Hide is all about, come along for the journey and see what we see. Oh, and you'll get to hear Pop sing later. So in the moments that we get, they're very few and far between, where there is not a lot to photograph, although there is right now 3 blackbirds and a woodpecker on the perches in front of us, so I'm having to shoehorn these little moments in. I'm just going to talk you through the hide. So the hide has definitely been developed and brought forward since the last time I came. It's the same hide that Pops came into just before Christmas. So one of the things that Ian's done is he's made it much bigger. Oh, the bullfinch is back. He's made it much bigger. So previously it was probably half the size of this, and there was only 2 apertures to photograph out of. He's now got 3. You've got 3 really comfortable gaming office chairs, and he's put on those some cushions, and there's a selection of blankets at the back as well if you get cold, which would be ideal if Jen was with me today. The other thing that's really quite fantastic about this hide, and he did do this in the previous hide, but he's made it even better, is he's using the one-way glass. Now, it's not like the one-way glass that we used at Des Ongs that you were photographing through. This is one-way glass, and then he's cut holes in the one-way glass, and your lens pokes out through those in the apertures, and then you've got some scrim netting to put around the end of your lens to just shield any visibility from inside the hide. But the one-way glass means that you've got an excellent view out onto the landscape in front of you. Now that's really, really important when you're photographing subjects such as sparrowhawks, because they're ambush predators. So they're going to be sat in the trees and the bushes at the back, watching the small birds in front of us and waiting for that opportunistic moment to dash in, grab a bird and then fly off with it. So one of the things that can be a little bit problematic with scrim netting is that when you're peering through that, you can miss those moments, whereas this viewing is much, much easier. And then other things with the hide that are really good, it's got a really sturdy shelf in front of you, and he's put some gaming mats on. And the reason he's put some gaming mats on is
a jay. I just saw a flash of wings coming at me.
Is that the plates that we've got, which are a bit like the ground pod that I use, for you to attach your gimbal head on. Now Ian provides gimbal heads, so all the plates have got gimbal heads on them already. But I've changed mine over for the video head, and he's put these gaming mats down so that you can slide the pod around on the gaming mat and it causes no sound whatsoever. So it's a really good way of moving your camera from side to side without causing any noise whatsoever. It also aids the videoing because this gaming mat is a really smooth surface with very little friction. It means that the movement that you're getting with the camera isn't jerky. There's no shuddering with it, and so you've got a really smooth movement which aids for video. Now obviously it's not a video hide, it's a photography hide, but little things like that have been put in really make a big difference. And then behind the hide, or just at the back of the hide here, he's put a sofa. So, if Pops gets a little bit overwhelmed by it all, you can go and have a little lie down. Can go have a little lie down and rest himself. So yeah, it's
The light's good here, with the sun rising behind us.
Yeah, yeah. Got some long-tailed tits now as well. So yeah, fingers crossed we get those sparrowhawks in, but to be honest with you at the moment, quite being entertained with the small birds that are coming in. We've actually had a reed bunting coming in, and that's not something you often see in hides, but there is a body of water down at the bottom of this little area that Ian's got. So that's obviously what's supporting the reed bunting. But we've had bullfinches, we've had blackcaps, again, two subjects that are, not often seen at hides, so that's quite nice as well. We've also had, I think, was a missile thrush in this morning as well.
Yeah.
It has been absolutely non-stop. And just as Ian said, the sunrise is behind the hide. Oh, look at that. The sunrise is behind the hide, and it's moved round now, so the perches in front of us are currently bathed in some beautiful golden light. And because it's quite bright, what I'm able to do is to really ramp up my shutter speed, and I'm looking for those squabbling moments where birds interact with one another, and I'm seeing if I can capture those. Now it's quite close, so you've got to bear in mind that if you've got a really kind of wide open aperture, your depth of field is going to be really shallow, so you've got to open up your aperture, keep your shutter speeds nice and high, but the light is affording us to have that little luxury of being able to have a really nice exposure triangle. One of the things that I do in these situations is I spot metering with highlight weighted, and that means that I don't blow any of the highlights, particularly on things like the goldfinches where you've got that white around the face. And then the other thing that's worth mentioning is I've switched seats, so you'll notice that I've come now to the other end, the aperture at the other end, and that's because it was a little bit more favourable for the shots I was looking for. I would encourage people to do that. I wouldn't be, anchored into one spot and not consider moving. Obviously, when you're going to move, you've got to pick your moments. You don't want to be moving when there's anything that's going to be delicate, that's going to be frightened away. You've got to be picking a moment where the birds are really active and you've no chance of disturbing things. And at the moment, they're so pre-focused on feeding. It was no problem at all to move. The other thing that we've done, and it's Ian that's asked us to do it, is to take our lens hoods off. So because the light's at the back, we've got no worry about glare at all onto the lens. So we've taken the lens hoods off. And by doing that, it just limits the amount of camera that's protruding out of the front of the hide. And that, hopefully, prevents anything like sparrowhawks being deterred from coming in. But in all honesty, there is such a wide variety of birds coming in at the moment. I'm not that fussed whether the sparrowhawk comes or not, because I've not taken my eye away from the eyepiece of this camera for a moment. I've had a cup of coffee that's gone cold, I've had to pour away. It is absolutely non-stop. One of the things that's so important when you're doing hide photography, and I often think it's the thing that people make the biggest mistake on, is it's not just about sitting waiting for something to turn up. It's about reading the behaviour of the subjects that are in front of you. So we know, for example, that there is a good chance that a sparrowhawk's going to visit the hide today. I do still use the word chance though, because it's not a given,
No.
but there's a chance that a sparrowhawk's going to come to this hide today. So one of the things that Pops and I are doing all the time, and in many ways, it brings that element of jeopardy and that element of excitement to the hide photography, is we are monitoring the behaviour of the small birds, and every now and again they alarm. It's a male. About that then.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
We're just doing our piece to camera about about reading bird behaviour and how that's such an important aspect to hide photography. And the reason we was doing that piece to camera is only moments before all the little songbirds had vanished, and the blackbirds, which are usually the key kind of indicator bird, were giving off alarm calls everywhere. And then, as you saw while we were doing the piece of camera, the male sparrowhawk arrived. And it's the small birds that give you that indication that they're on the way. He's just flown in and he's settled on a post, happily picking off pieces of a chick that's been put out for him. Pretty good, eh, Pops?
You're not kidding.
Pretty good.
Not kidding. Interesting, you know. I mean, all the birds disappeared, as you was just saying. But once he was settled eating, some of them came back.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost as if to say, he's got his victim. He's happily eating. We can carry on having something to eat as well.
Yeah, and they kind of just built with confidence, didn't they?
They did, yeah. It just got louder and louder with the bird song.
Yeah, yeah. More and more come in until he flew off, and they all absolutely.
they all shot off. Now they're all back again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
And I know Ian thinks that it could possibly be the same bird that was here
two and a half years ago.
But when we saw that bird 2.5 years ago, it was a juvenile. It had its brown coloration.
It did.
And now it's obviously very, very clearly a mature adult male. And as a result of that, it's got the steely blue, the red, particularly around the cheeks, hasn't it?
And the vivid orange eyes.
Yeah. And the darker those, more orange those eyes go, that indicates the more mature the subject is, isn't it?
It does, yeah. Wow. You can't help but be impressed with such a beautiful bird, can
No,
you?
no, you really can't.
Yeah. And that, it's like the adrenaline running through you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we've, all the birds are back now. We've got
Yeah.
black cap, bullfinches, blue tits, chaffinches, blackbirds.
Yeah.
It's all alive again in front of us. And
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Something's back.
What's just flew over the top? There was something just flew over the top then.
Bullfinches are first to come back.
Yeah.
Something spooked them all in, didn't it?
Absolutely. Looked a bit slow to me, that
Yeah, I
bird.
thought it was a wood pigeon, if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. It was just with all them scattering the way they did.
Yeah. It prompted the adrenaline in us, and we both
Yeah.
shot back to So I'm just going to very quickly talk about one of the issues that often people face when they're photographing in hides, and it's the bit that's a little bit different from when you're photographing out and about moving round, is that invariably your camera is left switched on. And so one of the things that both Pops and I do is we use power banks. So I'm going to just turn my camera around, this camera around, so you can see the way that Pops has got it set up there. So do you want to just talk everyone through it, Pops?
Yeah, the power bank actually, via a C2C cable, fits into the side of my camera, which is here, down here.
Yeah.
And then you turn your camera off and you'll see that a little orange light comes on, and that means it's charging the battery in there. Now the advantage of that is that I'm always frightened. I've got spare batteries, but if you're whipping out the old battery or the one that's expended and putting another one in, that's when some action will happen and you'll miss it. Whereas this, it continuously charges the battery, which is brilliant in hide.
And of course you don't just have to use that for your camera, you can use it for a multitude of things, can't you? So I charge my DJI Pocket and the DJI mic using the power banks.
Yeah, I charge my mobile phone off it.
Yeah.
And I can also charge my heated vest off it. It's got multiple ports in it, as you can see here. There's two C2C, that's input and output, and two USB outputs. And it tells you how much power you've got in at the side of it. And you can also tell on there that it is actually charging, because it tells you that the charge is going in.
Yeah. And it's also worth probably noting that the power banks are considerably cheaper than the OM battery, aren't they?
You're not kidding. You're not kidding. You could probably buy about 4 of these for the price of one of the Z9 batteries.
Yeah, yeah. Something well worth considering. Power banks for a power supply, and giving you that reliability and extendability of your batteries whilst you're photographing in hides, because obviously you've got the shelf in front of you, you can just leave the power bank on there. You can have more than one power bank if you want. I've got 3 power banks with me today, 2 that I use in my heated vest. Ordinarily I'd have 2 more for my heated socks. And then I've got the power bank for my camera and for my DJI Pocket and everything else that I need it for.
One thing to note though is that these power banks are 45 watts.
Yeah.
If you use some of the less power banks, they won't charge your camera. Because I've tried it, with the power banks that we have for the vests and that.
Yeah.
Not powerful enough to charge it, and you need the correct cable as well to pass the amount of power through.
Yeah, that's very true. You need a cable that's got enough capacity to push enough power through to charge the cameras, don't you?
Yeah. So you've got to be a little bit careful about that.
Yeah. So if you use a different power supply whilst you're in a hide or a different way of doing it, drop us a comment in the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you. So one of the questions we often get asked quite a bit around our hide photography is around settings, Pops. So what settings have you been, I know settings are changing all the time, but what kind of settings have been you mainly, you go-to hide settings, what have you been shooting at?
Well, like you say, it does change, and it changes with the amount of light that I've got. When we first got here, I was probably down around about 500th of a second at 2.8, or if I had my TC engaged f4, and it was giving me an ISO of around about 500.
Yeah.
But as the light increased, I went up to around about 5,000th of a second.
Yeah.
So my go-to settings would always be to start off around about 1,000th of a second.
Yeah.
But then adjust as the light adjusts.
What about aperture?
Aperture, if I can get away with it, I will bring it up to about f4, sometimes f5, 6, depending on the distance and how big the bird is.
Yeah.
For these little ones, though, I can get away with f2.8.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at a sparrowhawk, and if you're getting in fairly close to them, you want to be around about f4, f5, 6.
Yeah.
Sometimes even more than that if it's closer.
Yeah, you can go all the way up to f8, can't you?
You can, yeah, to try and get in. But it depends what you want to actually achieve.
It does, because the whole bird, beak to tail, does not have to be in sharp focus, does it?
No, it doesn't.
The critical element is always the eye.
The eyes.
The eye has got to be sharp. If the eye's not sharp, it's a photograph worthy of the bin.
Exactly, yeah. No, it's as you say, so long as that tree keeper keeps coming back now, it's down here.
Oh, I can see it.
Yeah, sorry. No, you've got to have absolutely pin-sharp eyes.
Yeah.
And if you've got that, then depending on what you're trying to show, whether you want the full bird or not.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I always like, if I can, get a little bit of blur in the wings when they're flying.
Yeah.
Recently I had a photograph critiqued by a judge who criticised the fact that I had movement in the wings.
I suppose it's each to their own, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I think when I've been photographing the small birds squabbling and of getting that interaction, I've wanted to try and freeze everything.
You do then, because that's what you're trying to achieve, isn't it? Is them squabbling.
Yeah. So I've gone really high, up to sort of 8,000th of a second, to try and ensure that I've got everything absolutely pin sharp. But then there have been times when I've been photographing birds, I want the head to be absolutely sharp, but I want the movement in the wings, because that intentional movement and that choice to have that movement conveys a message, a picture of movement, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I always liken it to you photograph a helicopter in the sky, and if you photograph it at a speed where the propellers actually are stationary, it looks like a model.
Yeah,
it looks as if it shouldn't be in the sky at all.
Yeah.
And the same, I think, if a bird's flying, not when they're squabbling, but when a bird's flying, you want to convey that sense of movement.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've probably had a very similar setup. I've been using, I don't think I've been below 1,000th of a second, if I'm honest. I might surprise myself when I get home, and there might be one or two. Majority of the time it's been over 1,000th. But one of the things that I've noticed is that looking through this glass, it looks quite dull outside.
Yes.
But actually, when you move the scrim net into the side, it's actually really bright, and it's because it's the one-way glass, and you're losing some of the light through it. It's quite deceptive. So you're almost not thinking about what your eyes seeing. You're thinking about what the camera's seeing and trusting the exposure of the camera, aren't you?
Very true indeed. Yeah.
And then one of the things that I predominantly shoot wide open. I tend to, if I've got a 2.8 lens, I'll shoot at 2.8. If I've got an f4 lens, I'll shoot at f4. And more recently, I've been pushing myself to not shoot at f2.8 and to narrow that aperture down a little bit, just so I can get a little bit more in focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, you know, it goes back to the point we made previously. It's personal preference, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
there are
Yeah.
times when actually I want the tail to look soft, and I just want the eye to be really, really sharp. But then equally, there are times when I want as much of the bird in focus as possible, so I'll narrow down that aperture. I also think that kind of a key part with that decision making is what's behind. You know, if you've got a clear background behind, you can go down to f8, f9, f11.
Yeah.
Here we've got quite a busy background,
Yeah.
which isn't a problem with these lenses because they demolish the background, so you get lovely buttery smooth backgrounds. But you've got to have the wide aperture to be able to achieve that, haven't you?
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Because all the time you're looking for that separation from your subject to your background, and that's what makes the subject pop, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So, you know, there are lots of choices, lots of decisions that are going on whilst you're taking those photographs. And I think that's one of the absolutely so essential things about getting to know your camera, so that you can be making those decisions on the fly without taking your eye away from the eyepiece. You know, you should know how to change your aperture, how to change your shutter speed, how to change your ISO if you need to, how to change your metering modes, you know, all those different things without looking at it, you know, with keeping your eye to the eyepiece at all times, shouldn't you?
The key is practice.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm pretty certain that a lot of the decisions that you're making when you're on the hoof, you know, when you're photographing, you're doing it subconsciously.
Yeah, it's instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, you're viewing it through your viewfinder and you're making instant decisions.
Yeah.
Almost subconsciously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's our third visit today from the Sparrowhawk. Pops.
Oh, it was just absolutely awesome. What was it with us? About 45 minutes?
45, yeah, I think about 45 minutes.
Blimey heck.
Just have a quick look, actually. I messaged Ian. He's back, yeah, at 2:30. It's 3:20 now.
Yeah. And it's still up in the tree up there.
Yeah, should we? Oh, gotta keep up.
Is that my stomach? It's rumbling after seeing him consume all that chicken.
So, he's been with us 45 minutes, he's devoured 2.
Oh, not sure, it's just flown off.
I think so, with all the alarm calls that went off. That was sensational.
You're not kidding.
I think the thing that you've got to try and do when you're photographing sparrowhawks on bait is you're trying to get them without the bait. You're trying to get them in positions that show off the splendour of the bird and what a wonderful raptor it is, but at the same time you don't want to capture any of the brutality and the gruesomeness of them feeding, do you?
No, that's true. That's true. Especially at the end there where it bit its head off and dispatched it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the kind of shots that no one wants to see. But yeah, you're so confident, and what's interesting is the whole time that the sparrowhawk is feeding, the rest of the bird population in the area kind of comes to the edges looking in, and then every now and again one will dart in and grab some food and then dart off again. And they just keep kind of building in confidence, but not coming down at all to rest on the feeders.
No.
I mean, as the sparrowhawk's gone now, they've started.
That's a magpie.
They've started to appear back, but I would think that's probably the last we'll see the sparrowhawk today.
I would have thought so. But it was strange when it first came in. There was a calling, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I don't know whether that was another sparrowhawk.
Yeah.
There are other ones in this area.
It was like a mewing, wasn't it? really kind of soft mewing. And the sparrowhawk was definitely listening to it. You could see its head tilting the sky, and was looking for it, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't feed while it was calling.
No. So I don't know whether that was a rival male or whether it was the female in the area and they've paired up, or not quite sure, but he's not saved any for her.
He hasn't. He's had a real good feed, hasn't he?
He has. Yeah. Magpie's going to come in now and pick up the scraps.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Taking the scraps. Typical corvid.
Yeah.
There you go, and it's away. Yeah, it's got his little bit. It's away.
Yeah, there's another one over the back there somewhere.
Yeah, I saw the second one come in.
Yeah. Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to bring the video to a close there, as the birds are going absolutely crazy outside of the hide. Since the sparrowhawk left last, which would probably only be about 15 minutes ago, that all the woodland birds have just come back, and the feeding frenzy is continuing. It's been pretty much a constant all day long, hasn't it, Pops?
It has, from the moment we came in, what, 7:30?
Yeah.
Till now. You've been recording how many different species we've seen.
I have.
How many? I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. I should be able to. Yes, I can read it out. So we've seen so far today blackbird, blackcap, blue tit, bullfinch, chaffinch, collared dove, dunnock, goldfinch, great spotted woodpecker, great tit, greenfinch, grey lag goose flying over the top, jay, little egret flying over the top, long-tailed tit, magpie, reed bunting, robin, siskin, song thrush, sparrowhawk, starling, stock dove, tree creeper, wood pigeon and wren. That's 26 different species of birds we've seen today. I mean, that is just
phenomenal, isn't it?
Isn't
Absolutely.
it just?
It's just, wow, what a day. What a day we've had again.
It has.
Eh?
It's been fantastic.
Oh.
The first hide that Pops and I have been in together this year, and you know, what a way to set the stall out for the year. I've just come back from Ireland, had a absolutely fantastic time in Ireland, visiting some wonderful hides, and then we've come and we've just had an equally sensational day at Leeds Wildlife Hide. It's been brilliant. And do you know what? One of the things that I've thought the whole time I've been here is, why have I left it for over 2 years before I came back?
Yeah.
Because it has been fantastic. And one of the things that I will say to Ian before we leave is, apart from obviously a massive thank you for today and all the effort and hard work that he's put in, but we'll be back. We'll be back much sooner than I've left it this time.
Yeah.
That's for certain.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I came back before Christmas on a whim and thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
But today has been just sublime. The amount of birds that have been coming in, it's been a real treat, hasn't it?
It has. It's
treat.
been a fantastic treat. What a wonderful way to spend a Sunday.
Yeah.
So if you want to book this hide, Ian's got a website. There'll be a link at the bottom of the page to Leeds Wildlife Hides. Get on. He's got a booking page within the website. You can see where the availability is. I always like it when it's like that you can look at a calendar and you can see which days are available. You know, it means that you can really kind of plan it out. What I would say is get your booking in early, because he books up really quite quickly. And I've no doubt that we'll see bookings pick up a little bit following this video. So if it's something that you're interested in, you know, he doesn't guarantee sparrowhawks, but we've never been here and not seen sparrowhawks, so I'm going to guarantee sparrowhawks. I think you've got a better than average chance of seeing sparrowhawks here. And to be honest with you, the sparrowhawks were the bonus, because as I've just referenced there, the variety of birds and the opportunity to photograph them in some stunning light on some stunning perches has been second to none. So have a look at the booking page. Get on his, I think he's got a Facebook page as well, so get on his Facebook page and you can see the pictures that are being generated from it. If you've liked this video, you wouldn't mind giving us a like, a subscribe, maybe even tickle our bell.
Did you really just say that? I'm glad you said bell. You're giving our secrets away here.
He's ruined me. He's ruined me. I'll try again.
Don't you dare, you leave that in.
Like and subscribe, please. We'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. It really does promote the channel, does wonders for the channel, and costs you absolutely nothing. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be fantastic. We've got some collaborations coming up. I'm going out for a day with Paul Miguel, and Daryl Oakden's also been in contact, so hopefully get out with him for a day. So we've got a few collaborations coming up and lots of other things planned for the year. So from the wonderful Sparrowhawks and from the stunning Leeds Wildlife Photography Hides, until next time, ta-ra! Oh, and if you won't mind buying us a coffee, we've got a Buy Me a Coffee webpage. Thank you very much to all those people who spend their hard-earned cash for buying it.
You notice how his animated hand always goes across my face.
Until next time, ta-ra!